Yeah, Colorado. I think. Well, and it's funny you were talking to Jade about just the mountains. It's just a tough road trip. I don't think it's like a lot of it is mental for sure, but I think just being from Arizona and living in Arizona, you get so spoiled all the great weather. When you go somewhere else and it's cold, it just like throws you all off because we don't really. This is like the my jacket. Like we need a sweatshirt. So I think just the road trip, the snow, it's just different. I don't think it's good or bad. It's just different. So and just understanding. I think for all the new people, all seven new people, understanding that it's hard to play on the road in the Pac-12. Yes, we got a taste of Stanford, and they're so elite. But I'm saying just in general, whether it's ASU on the road, Utah, Colorado, UCLA, USC, it's a grind. And you saw the trend. We talked about this, I think, post game the other day. It's like it's hard to win on the road. So just going, I'm glad we took care of home. The Oregon schools, that was a big weekend for us to get that sweep, and now to go on the road. We need to find a way to manufacture some wins on the road this year. So hopefully it'll start this weekend.
So how's Maya?
She's good. Maya's cleared. She was in practice yesterday. It's just nowadays with concussion protocol, it's like you're gonna any kind of collision and any kind of symptom, they're out. So like it makes us old school players like the Dons, me, Jen Rosati's, like Sue, everybody, all of us that are turned coaches, Neil Ivy, everybody. We're probably like we played with like 25 concussions in our career. Because like I remember like seeing stars on the court, seeing double, be like, where am I at? What's going on? Like, and it's so much better now, all the precautions we take. But if you say like, oh, I'm foggy, and like even if the person's foggy prior to the concussion and they're foggy every day anyways, it's like when you any kind of collision, you're gonna be out. So that's like it's hard as a coach. Anytime you see a collision in practice, and then someone has a headache from it, you know they're out with protocol.
And I mean that's important because you've got. I mean, go to Colorado, you've got Vonleh, Utah, you've got Peely. Mm-hmm. So what do your bigs need to do this week?
I think the good thing is we're not playing such size. I think when we play a tremendous amount of size, I'm talking like 6'8", it just changes so many shots around the basket. We just start bricking layups and clanking stuff off the backboard and rushing shots. I think when we play people our size, even if have more girth and stronger, we're a lot better. So I think our post players can be successful this weekend because they're not gonna try to out muscle, Vonleh and Peely, they're both so strong. They're gonna try to out quick them. And I think when there's just a bigger player, even if she's slower, not as strong, just the length, it just alters things. And I remember that as a player when we used to play against Margot Dudek, we would go and lay and be like, oh shoot, and you leave. It's like scary, which is so dumb when you think about it. Like I tell them now, and I should have told my younger self this. But like, if you get blocked by a 7 foot or 6'8", who cares? You're supposed to get blocked. And then I remind them, I ask them, okay, the best shot blockers in the country, how many blocks a game do they average? Maybe 3, and that would be like the best in the country. So that's the probability. If you look at all the possessions, like 3 times or 2 times, a great shot blockers use like 2, I'd say, in our conference. That's probably the leader is like 2.2 or something. I'm assuming, I think. But that's not a lot throughout a game. So when you put it in that perspective, but as a player, it's like that doesn't feel like that. You feel like they block a lot, So I don't know. Anyways, but I think it'll be more successful.
You talked to them about the fouls that can drive because I mean, like Cameron Brink's a great blocker, but she's had problems with fouls. So.
Yeah, I think the challenge with Stanford is they're so long at so many positions, even from the 3, and they pack it in. So I think that when there's length and there's size and there's multiple players, it would be like Oregon State having 3 other 6'3" girls. It's just hard to play against, and I think that the style's a little different, and I think Utah's really good. And we talked about this at the beginning of the year. I think we all talked about it, that they're underrated because they can always score so well. Lynn does a good job. They always can just score the heck out of the ball, and I think they're playing even better defense this year. So I think that we can do well in transition, moving Peely away from the basket, and then just making her guard our on-ball stuff. I think that's where we can be successful. And I don't think the size of Utah should bother us.
How tired have you gotten of being asked about Vonleh?
I haven't been asked about her once.
Not since
Yeah.
Pac-12 Media Day. I know you were asked that.
Yeah, so Nettie, I've known her for so long, like love her. She's a great kid, great family, everything. Obviously, I was one of the first people to offer her a scholarship, like 8th grade. Played for one of my friends in AAU, my former teammate. that's also Arizona. But I think that everybody has to be where they're most happy. And you know that when you look at it though, we had so many post players last year, and we had like, so she would have probably played 15, 20 minutes a game this year. But I think she's happy, she's flourishing, she's doing so well. She has a great head coach. I love JR. So I think that things like happen the way they are. But I think that you're going to see so much more of that. I mean, you're going to see, I think every year, every top program, you're going to see a lot of transitions. I think even more now than ever because of all the transfer stuff. And I think with this generation, there's not a lot of resiliency. They want immediate gratification. I see it in my 6-year-old kid, but like in the 17-year-olds, 18, 19, 20, they're not going to stick it out. And I mean, I think also as a player, though, would I have wanted to do that? I don't know. I don't know it depends on how much you care to win. Because like one of the reasons why I came to Arizona was to play a lot my first year. So I don't know if you were able to transfer years ago, I don't know if I would have stayed and sat 3 years or 2 years, to be honest. And now it's so easy. So I think it's going to be like the Wild West, as Gino and coaches would say. So, yeah, I mean, she's strong. She's good. I know her game. She's playing really well. And she's a and I also know how strong she is because I used to live with them in the weight room. She's strong as an ox. So, but I'm happy she's doing well. And you want the kids to be happy at the end of the day and love their college experience and love their role. And she does now, it looks like, so I'm happy for her.
What are you seeing in the play of Maddie Murray? She's improved over the season. I mean, she already came in and she was, getting doubles and everything, but a lot of her other parts of her game have improved. She's getting the steals. She's doing a lot of really smart things on the court that don't get into the box score.
Yeah, I mean, I'm also looking at her most updated stats, I think. But even in the box score, for her to be 52%, doesn't get a whole lot of layups. Gets some putbacks, but in traffic, tough shots. She's now up to 37%, 38 from the three, which is good, 73% from free throw. At 8.7, but she had a couple rough games. I think she could be at like 10 rebounds a game, 9 or 10, which would be one of the top in our conference. I think she's playing at a high level. I think she's doing so many things that don't show up on, like, even if she's tipping and pursuing the ball, it's helping other people get rebounds. I think she's a really good player. I think there's some areas that she needs to get better in before she goes pro. I think that, but she's capable of doing it. I think being a little bit more consistent from the three, cutting down on turnovers. I think jump stopping in traffic. But those are things she's working at. I think when she does that and works on that in the offseason, I think she'll come back an even better player. Because if she can handle a little bit better from outside and enable us to put her at like maybe the 3 and the 4, it just makes us bigger and stronger, and it gives us an amazing rebounder from that position. So I think she's doing great. She's been a great addition, and I mean I think she should average a double-double. I think she's capable, and she's right there. So.
Jade, I mean, really, probably the last thing to come along will be your defense. Where do you see her progressing?
Jade?
Yeah.
Free throws she's made in conference. I think overall free throws, I gotta sneeze, which is rare because usually a really great shooter and jump shooter is usually like Maddie, phenomenal free throw shooter. So that's a mental thing. So I think she just got mental and got frustrated, but she's making them now, which is good. So, but she's been working on them. Jade is a very hard worker. She's amazing to coach. I wish I would have had her for 4 years. The parts of the game that we're working with her on is, like she said, creating for someone else because they're going to close out on her. She's got an amazing size. She's very strong, very athletic. So there's no reason why she shouldn't be posting up and getting to the basket. So I think just the confidence, when she first got here, she never did that. I'm like, you never drive to the basket. But now she's doing it more. Now she's, passing the ball more, getting more assists. I think for her to take her game to the next level, those are the things she needs to do. And I'd say rebounding because she's capable. And she's starting to do those things, so she has to go to the next level. But I think I don't know too many people in the country that can elevate on a jump shot and hit hard shots like she shoots. She doesn't get open shots. She takes really hard, pretty lower percentage shots and makes them because of her elevation. I mean, she's guarded tight, like, which is good for Shayna. Shayna's probably like, yes, because she has lanes to drive. But, I mean, for Jade to be 43% from the field does not take a lot of layups. Like, think about it. And then 42% from three takes a lot of really hard shots. So I'm also trying to find ways to get her easier shots because then she can be at 47, 48%. She really can be. Like, she's that good of a shooter.
And what's it like for you now to see a lot of these players that you have sort of turn into more of these all-around players, like Maddie? I know she's been in the program she's so young, and now she's a sophomore, but I always think of her still as a freshman.
Yeah, well, she was here,
'Cause she was
remember,
here when
half
she
a
was
year and
17,
played,
right?
yeah.
So, but to see like Esmery come in and Jade, and they're growing so quickly, and there's some other players who are really sort of doing this now. What's it like for you? Because this is sort of what you'd like to see, like more like the Maddies, right? Come in,
Yeah.
and then these players are coming in and so quickly growing.
Yeah, I think Jade in particular, she's super hungry and she works really hard. So she's gonna get better just by default of that. I mean, if you go in our gym, there isn't a day that I haven't been at where she's not in there shooting, but not like shooting. Some people go in there and just shoot and like mess around and shoot half court shots, and it's not anything really. But she is in there like working, passer, curling, fading, off the dribble. She's like sweating and like working on her game. So if she's ever in like a slump for a game, I know it's going to come back because she works on her craft, so you fall back to your habits. So I think that's one of the reasons why you see someone like her who is determined to go pro work on it every day, because those are her goals. I think when you're younger, you don't understand that sense of urgency. Ari didn't understand that when she first came. And she was able to learn and watch Kelsey Plum. And Kelsey Plum's work ethic is like on the other end of the spectrum. Like, it's hard to match. And so I think Ari seeing that and Ari understanding how good she could be and how good we were, she had that her last few years. But if you ask her, she would have had that all 4 years. So I think when you see quicker improvements, I'll give Trinity as a great example. Trinity was a bad defender. I remember seeing tape at Virginia Tech. I was like, oh, she is not going to play her defense. Like, she's like cannot guard. Like, she turns around and she doesn't guard anybody. But she had a mindset. She was tough. Like, she was one of my favorite of all time. Like, wanted to be good, studied it, was going to watch film at it, and wanted to learn so badly she was going to be good. She ended up being one of our best defenders and being a good defender now, is having a great pro career. Improved her three-point shot. Didn't do that before. Like, all these things she turned into because she wanted it. It's like, when you want it, you're going to get it. You're going to figure out a way. So I think I see that with some of the transfers. If you see quick improvements, that's usually attributed to their mentality. Because we're available. Like, the more you want to learn, the more we want to teach. We have extra time. We're not using all of our practice time. If you want to watch film and we set it on your care hours, we'll do it. So it's like how much you want to get out of it. And another person that's going to be good because of that is Kaylin. Kaylin's right there with Jade. And then I'd say Maddie is right there after. But I think, so they're going to improve because of the work they put in. Now, you don't see a consistent whole team like that. And I don't think any team in the country has that. But the ones you see, every year they're going to get better. And they want it so bad. I think as a coach, you want to pour into that. Like, if someone's working and wants to learn, is like, asking for feedback, you want to give it. And then you're more inclined to want to coach them better.
The thing I noticed with Jade, and I noticed it with Maddie the other day too, is when they talk to us, they talk at a more higher level of what they're doing than a lot of players who are,
just the way that their accountability.
Right. And also about, like, the way they develop and what they're doing on the court.
They're
describe it in
confident
detail.
because they put more work. So they're more detailed because they're more confident because they put in the work. Like Maddie, when Maddie steps to the line, she's confident. Like, it's like, she's going to make them, right? And she may miss one, but it's like her confidence won't waver because you put the time in. So I think that's the difference.
Just the difference, you think?
Yeah, I mean, like, if you work every day at something, you're not going to be not confident because your confidence doesn't come from practice. Like, everybody practices, and practice you get like 50 shots maybe. It depends on the shooting day. Like, you're not working on shooting. You're usually working on team stuff. You get your skill work around that, or we build in skill work. Like, as a coach, like, we value skill work. So with the team, I build it in usually. But why do I have to build it in? I wouldn't build it in if I knew that they were going to get it. I mean, I would maybe because of the timing and the classes and all that, but like, you build it in as a coach because you want to work with specific people and get them better. But I think that you would do less of that, I think, as a coach, if you know that she's going to be there and say, hey, can we work at this time? But you don't have consistently. No program has that probably. If they do, they're probably winning multiple championships. But that's what I'm saying. So some you have to put it in their schedule and build it. And there are some upperclassmen who have to do that because they will not do it on their own. They'll say they're doing it, but they're not. Like you going in there and just shooting 10 shots, that's not working on your game. Like you're not going to go out there and work on your defensive slides or your closeouts like without it, like by yourself. Even if you're a bad defender, you can go out there and shoot because it's easy, it's fun. But you're not going to go work on a deficit. You're going to work on your bright spots, right? Which is good, but it's not making you more well-rounded. A coach is going to make you, okay, you can't play post defense right now. We got to work on post defense. We'll work on offense too, but this is the area you aren't good in, right? And we've done that with Jade a little bit. Like these are the areas you have to get better in, and these are the areas that this is why you're not good at that because your feet do this, or this is your angle for this. But like players sometimes can't even see that. They don't even have an understanding or they think they're doing it all right. And then those are the ones that don't work and don't usually get a lot better. So, kids know everything when they're 18, right?
You've talked in the past about Sunday games being hard in Salt Lake and trying to get back. Are you guys chartering this year
Yeah.
so you don't have to worry about that so much?
Yeah, so in the past, we would play like a noon game, get done at 2, and have like an 8 p.m. flight. And then everything's closed on Sunday. So, which it's just different. Like nothing's open. You forget about that. You'd be like, oh, we can go to the mall and eat. And then you're like, oh, nothing's open. But it's just like, and it's harder to sit around. The chartering chartering flights is like, it's like a life, like it's a game changer. Because after the game, get food, go. Like if you think about it realistically and like as a conference, it is a competitive advantage when you charter. You are at a disadvantage when you don't. Maybe if like LA, there's so many flights, you're still at a disadvantage because the whole process is longer. So I think when you really think about it, if like Arizona's doing it, or if Stanford's doing it, Arizona's not, or if like Oregon's doing it and USC's not, it affects things, I think. Maybe a little less if you live in a huge hub where you can get in and out of flights, but it still is a factor because there you're going 2 hours early. When you're a charter, you're like pulling up at 4 and you're leaving at 4:15. They're checking your ID. You're not walking to the airport, so less risk for flu, for strep, for COVID. So you're staying healthier. It's way more efficient on time. You're off your legs more. You have more freedom on the flight. Like you can control the food on the flight. I think it's really not a fair situation. 5 teams are because of finances, and 5 teams aren't. Because I guarantee, like we used to be exhausted. You're still tired chartering, but when we didn't charter, you were exhausted because you're sitting around sometimes 6 hours to wait for a flight, like nowhere to go. People one time we had, I was sick. I had the flu, and I flew to Colorado really sick. I was just getting over the flu. I was on Tamiflu and stuff, and like 3 other players were. So we had to go to a restaurant, spend like 3 hours in the restaurant, but I was too sick. And so Sam Thomas was one, I think Dominique. We got a couple rooms at the hotel, and we went back to the hotel and laid and slept all day, like the 5 hours we had to wait. And then the rest of the team went to like the restaurant, then went a couple hours early. But stuff like that, like that's a factor. I know financially it's a lot of money, but it is a big difference. And that's the reality. So, I don't know. I think there needs to be don't let me start, but there has to be deals and ways, and I feel like there should be so much more done to where it's more cost effective, and it's shared more within partner schools or men's, women. I don't know. There has to be a way, but a more budget friendly way, I think. But at the end, it costs more money, and it's where does that money come? There's Austin, there's that, there's just everything costs more money. So it sounds good. I would have all these plans, but it's I'm not also Dave that has to come up with millions for everything. It's hard. So. That's why he's the boss, because I would not want to do his job. He has a hard job. He got to do a lot of things, raise money, and then run the department. There's a lot. So he's doing a great job.
What did Colorado do against Utah that was so effective?
So that was such a big swing. I think Colorado's pressure really bothers you, and I think that in the past you've seen our pressure has bothered Utah. Colorado. Really good in transition. When they're making shots and they're playing good defense, playing really aggressive defense, they're hard to beat, especially at Colorado. So that's a tough first game. So Colorado and Utah is probably the least favorite on every single Pac-12 coach's schedule, because it's a grind. Like, and it's funny when you go there, they intentionally are trying to run you, and it's like they're like run them, because it's like fast at first. Because after like the first win, before the first media, people are like, but like it's smart they do that. I would do the same thing. They just try to run you, push the envelope. They're aggressive. You got to slow down Sherrod in transition, which is hard. She's really fast. Then they just have, Jaquaya's playing at a high level, shooting, and then they bring in the muscle with Von Lay. It's like they're better. They're a good team. So it's going to be a tough game. Then they can shoot it outside, like a lot of different weapons. So, yeah, cool.